What's going on, everyone? Today we have the RTX 5070 Ti. This is the gaming OC version of the card by Gigabyte. And today we'll be pairing it with a 9800X3D with 32 gigabytes of RAM. Now, as usual, we're going to take our time, go through all the different settings and see what you can expect from this card. And if you are new here, I'd like to invite you to please click that little button and subscribe. And if you're not new here, thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it. Let's jump into the game. All right, welcome everyone. We are jumping into Cronos today with the RTX 5070 Ti. Got 16 gigs of RAM on this card. We're at 1440p right now, and let's just get into it. We're running this starting off at medium. That gives us about 113, 114 FPS here. We're going to just kind of kick it around this open area to avoid any story elements, and to be honest, I die constantly, so if I ever encountered enemies, I would just have to constantly restart. So we're just going to kick it around this area with no visible threats right now, because this game is extremely difficult. I've made it about an hour into it, and my God, it's brutal. All right, so we're at 108 FPS here. Got it paired with a 9800X3D here, and the 5070 Ti should be a pretty good combination, especially as we test out 1440 here. But let's just keep on going and go up to that very next level of quality preset. We're going to go high, then extreme, I believe, epic is what it's called. And then we'll introduce some ray tracing, maybe see if we need some DLSS to help us out. Just kind of see where this card starts to get below 60. And then we'll do some DLSS and upscaling to help it out. All right, so let's just jump down here. Looking really good, though, running fine. 1440 should be no problem for this card. And this title really looks great. Now, without ray tracing, of course, you're going to get much higher numbers. Once we kick that ray tracing on, though, we may have the need to kick on some upscaling. So this is where you pop out at. I don't want to ruin anything, so we're just going to walk around here. All right, so let's just go into the settings and jump down here and see what we can get going. So go to Epic. Of course, no upscaling and no ray tracing right now. So this is just straight all natural pixels here. We're comfortably above 60, no big issues there. So I'm going to jump over to ray tracing and start to introduce some of that and see where this card needs some of that DLSS to help. All right, so let's just jump over here, go to settings, and we're going to kick on ray tracing. So with Epic settings and ray tracing, no upscaling right now. We'll see what kind of hit that gives us. It does have to kind of think about it for a little bit. All right, so if you're going to ray trace, obviously you're probably going to need to upscale. That's kind of what I was expecting, because at 42 FPS, I can definitely tell it slowed down a little bit. But, everything is, cranking along just fine. One thing I want to notice is, I want everyone to notice is I've run this on a few different cards. And if you're not seeing utilization of your GPU at 99%, I think it's just because there's like some sort of thing in the game engine itself that is kind of putting the brakes on that GPU, because once you go up to a higher, harder setting, that usage on the GPU goes up to flat 99%. So once I kicked on that ray tracing, it seems like the engine kind of uncapped or unlocked, but I think that it's a lot like potentially Grand Theft Auto. There's like a little bit of an engine limit. So if you're maxing out the engine, of course, your GPU will probably slow down a little bit to avoid any sort of issues. But yeah, 44 FPS here. Let's just jump over here and do some upscaling. So I'm going to jump down here, kick that super sampling over to DLSS, of course. We're going to leave it on quality, epic. And everything up here looks the same. Got that ray tracing turned on. So let's just keep going and see if that gives us a nice lift. Okay, now we're comfortably above 60. So kind of answers that question. If you turn on quality upscaling at 1440, you can run epic with, with the ray tracing turned on. So everything here looks good. Of course, we're going to drop down and see what kind of numbers we can get once we go down a little bit. Now on 1440, I would not go past balanced, and that's going to give you about 81 FPS, and everything looks really good here. Again, no problems at all at 1440. Now once we jump up to 4K, we're probably going to have to make a few concessions, potentially with maybe going down to like performance, but again, performance DLSS looks amazing on 4K still. All right, so let's do that now. So we've kind of went through what you can expect when it comes to your 1440p experience. If we go up to 4K, though, let's go ahead and accept that. It's going to have to blink a few times and get everything all sorted out for us. All right, yes, I will keep those changes. And let's turn ray tracing off, of course. And let's go down to start at medium, just how we did with the others. And let's turn that super sampling off. So no upscaling, medium preset, no ray tracing at 4K. That'll be this little section. And let's see what kind of lift we get there. All right, so that gives us right at 56, 54 FPS. So at native 4K, it looks like at medium, you're going to have to introduce a little bit of upscaling to get it to be comfortably above 60. Now, do I think you can play it at 58? Yeah, of course. I mean, this is close enough to 60 to where your brain won't be able to tell. If I wasn't looking at a metrics panel on the left, I would never be able to tell you, like, this is exactly 58 FPS, you know. But everything looks pretty good here. I'm just going to kick on that quality DLSS before we keep going, and then see what it looks like there at medium, and then we're going to keep going on up to the next levels. So let's go here, go to quality DLSS. Oops, I hit cancel by accident. Let me come down here. Okay, go ahead and apply that. All right. Okay, so now we're on quality DLSS, medium, and no ray tracing. Let's see what kind of lift that gives us. Brings us up to about 81. All right, so we can comfortably keep going now and see what the rest of these presets can offer, along with some ray tracing and what kind of upscaling we'll need to do to get 4K with ray tracing. You know, turn that into a reality, see what we need to do as far as our settings go there. So 86, 87 FPS, 85. Yeah, it looks really nice. Everything's, for this type of game, I think that's a perfectly acceptable target FPS. So with quality DLS and go up to high, again, no ray tracing, go ahead and apply those. All right, you're looking at about 73 FPS on high. This is one notch before Epic. Game runs pretty well, though. I mean, nice and smooth. I'm not seeing any kind of like bad stutters and stuff like that as it just stuttered. Every time I say I don't see any bad stutters, the game stutters. It's like any game. If I say it, it just happens. So I'm going to quit saying it. So as long as you don't say it, it shouldn't happen to you. All right, so we're at 70, 69 FPS here. 1% lows look about 60 or so, which is nice. It's a good target. Nice and smooth though. It doesn't feel like anything's going to be an issue at all with these settings. So let's just keep on going. All right, so jump into 4K. Let's see where we're at here. Let's go up to Epic. So Epic with quality. Let's see if we need more DLSS. I'm sure we will. All right, so let's see. Well, we might not. So if you run Epic with quality, you are right at 60, give or take. I mean, 58. I'm not going in that fence because that's where the story starts, and I don't want to ruin anything. So, and that's where all the things are that kill you, and I would just die all the time. This game is extremely hard. All right, so this is a 63, 65 FPS over here. So really, with quality DLSS on Epic settings, without ray tracing, you can have a really nice 60 plus FPS experience most of the time. All right, now when we kick on ray tracing, let's see what we need to do here. So let's kick on ray tracing, and let's see what this does as far as Epic with quality. Now that we've turned on ray tracing, that drops us down to about 35 FPS. So you could either do one of two things. You could continue to upscale, or you could lower your actual setting. So we'll do that first, and then we'll work our way back up. So settings, and come down here, keep going. All right, let's go back to medium. So this is medium with quality DLSS and ray tracing. Let's see if that gets us close. All right, so I would probably just upscale because you're giving up a lot to get not even 60 yet, just for ray tracing. But the game does look really good once you get into like the story element part of the kind of storyline, because it's given like really Dead Space vibes, if you know what I mean, like very spotlight, intense lighting, pitch black. Otherwise, it's pretty horrifying to play this at night with some headphones on. So if you're into that kind of thing, get this game. It's pretty damn scary. All right, so yeah, let's go to 40 FPS, and it's not good enough. So let's just keep going. So we kind of ruled that out. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. So we can leave it on Epic and just go down to balanced. All right, so let's just regroup here. Epic settings, balanced DLSS, Ray tracing is on at 4K. All right, yes, apply those. All right, so what does that do? Might need to go harder on it. So that's 42, 44 FPS. Still not 60. Still not close to 60. Big stutter there, 30s. Wow, okay, yeah. So ray tracing is pretty intense here. And we're not even in like the, inside part. All right, so let's just go to, let's see. Let's go to ray tracing left on, 4K. Let's go down to performance. So now this will upscale from 1080p. So this should hopefully be good enough to get us 4K ray tracing. Let's give it a minute to kind of catch up with itself here. 53, 52. All right, that seems like the best it's going to do. All right, so 4K upscaled to, or 4K is being upscaled from 1080. Ray tracing is on. DLSS performance, epic settings. Now you can go ultra performance, but I don't even like going ultra performance on 4K, but we'll just see if that does it. Yeah, that does it. I mean, that gives you 75 FPS here. Slightly blurrier, like a little fringe blurriness on things. But you can definitely play at this, since you're upscaling to 4K, it does tend to degrade a little bit more than performance would, but kind of DLSS 4 is so good that ultra performance kind of looks like DLSS 3 performance in my book. It really does look pretty nice. So if you're willing to go to ultra performance, you can run it completely maxed out. But what I would maybe do is probably just come in here and go to, if you wanted to run ray tracing, because if you don't run ray tracing on this card, you're fine. It's just ray tracing that really makes kind of like the break point. So if I go up to performance and then down to high, let's see if that gives me kind of what I'm after, which is about that 60 FPS. Yeah, so there's 60, 59. This game is such a slow-paced title that I would probably play it exactly like this. If I was wanting to do 4K with ray tracing, I would just leave it on high. All right, so we're back. I changed clothes because it's the next day. I had a issue with the recording, so I'm actually re-recording this portion. So we're at 4K. Ray tracing is on. Frame generation is on. Multi-frame generation is currently off. We're using DLSS with quality upscaling at epic settings. All right, so that gives us a very nice frame rate of 90 FPS here. And our PCL is looking quite nice. It is at 44 milliseconds. So this is actually a really good way to play it. Your response rate is, no complaints there, especially on a controller. You're not going to have any issues there. I like it to be about 50 or below as the ideal target, and that's obviously 50 or below. So I would have no problems playing with this setting at all. This is a really good experience, and your DLSS is on quality, which is just so good to look at. I mean, you can even go down to performance if you really want to get these numbers up even higher. But we're gonna come through here and go through layer by layer like we like to do. Check out balanced. All right, so this is balanced upscaling, everything else left alone. That's going to give us an uptick to 108, 105 FPS. Again, this is relying on some frame generation, but the base frame rate is high enough to where your PCL up there is at 43 milliseconds, which is great. That's fine. That's not anything that I would ever complain about, especially on a game like this with a controller that is a little bit slower. Of course, if you are competitive, you want that number to be as low as possible, and you just don't care about how it looks. But to have a nice experience on a controller with this title, this is a really good setting here. So let's just keep going and see what performance can do. And then we'll bring in some multi-frame generation and just like sweeten it up. All right, so let's come in here, go to performance. All right, resume. Performance will give you a nice PCL of 35 milliseconds with a frame rate of about 115 on average or so. All right, so that looks like it is going to be a good setting as well. Now let's jump back over and turn on some multi-frame generation, and then jump back up to quality. All right, so this is quality, epic settings, multi-frame generation, and that gives you a PCL of 44 milliseconds and a FPS of 140 frames per second. And our VRAM, of course, is just at 10.8. We've got 16 on this card, so there's no issues there at all. All right, so let's just keep on going and check out the additional settings we can come through here on our DLSS. So if we go down to balance, which still looks really good, that'll give us a nice uptick to 140-ish, 150-ish, with a PCL of 42 milliseconds. So this is also a nice setting here. Everything, again, is completely maxed out, and you're running 4K resolution. And you're just using a little bit of DLSS with no real negative side effects, in my opinion. It still looks really nice and sharp because you're upscaling from such a high base resolution up to 4K. It still looks good. Let's go down to performance with that multi-frame generation turned on, and that's going to be probably the most performant setting that we can get without having to go like way too hard with like ultra performance and stuff like that. That gives us about 156, 160 FPS, give or take. It kind of jumps around a little bit, but your PCL still stayed about the same. So really going to performance doesn't give you like a huge uplift. I would probably use the following settings. I would come in here and just turn on ray tracing, of course, multi-frame generation looks good, and I would just run it with a quality DLS upscale, and just like this is how I would probably run it. That gives you a nice super high refresh rate, super high FPS, and your PCL is 41 milliseconds. Now, for anyone curious, just to see what it looks like, how it runs with no upscaling at all, we're just going to turn that off. Now, when you turn that off, you lose your frame generation. All right, so that's just something to keep in mind. So if we turn that off and come up here and keep everything else the same, you are going to probably see a pretty significant drop in frames, but just to show you the difference of what that frame generation can do alongside that upscaling, it goes down about 30 FPS or so. So really in this case, and your PCL is way too high. I mean, it's at 128 milliseconds. So yeah, really just running it with the following settings here. We're just going to jump back over here and turn on our super sampling DLSS. Of course, we're on an NVIDIA card. Quality, turn that frame generation on with multi-frame generation and leave it on epic settings. And the difference is night and day. You've got 132 FPS now, all right, with the PCL dropping dramatically, which is a good thing, to sub 50 milliseconds. All right, so that's going to wrap it up. Thanks again for watching. Sorry about the cut. Just like to have my videos be as complete as possible. And in this case, I needed to come back and fix it. So thanks for hanging out. If you're new here, please subscribe. If you're not new, thanks for coming back and hanging out with us, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.